All right, here we are again, start of a new month, and we want to give you all of the numbers that are possible. Whether you're buying a house, selling a house, whether you're moving here to Nova Scotia, you've got to understand the market, and that's what this video is going to do. Let's go play with some numbers. Hey everyone, it's Richard Payne here with Halifax Homes and Lifestyles, and if you know this channel, if you've watched it before, you know what we're going to cover. Now, if you haven't watched it before, hit the bell and subscribe, because this is the channel that's going to give you all the information about relocating to Nova Scotia, where's the best places to live, but also today, we want to give you the stats. We want to give you some knowledge, some real hardcore numbers, so that at least when you're looking at making a decision of what to do in real estate, you've got background, you've got numbers, and that's what we're here to do. So let's kick it off with, of course, the number one most important number that everybody wants to say, which is, what is the average selling price? Our average selling price this month for March, because we're at the start of April, so this is looking back at March, is $616,000 and like a little bit. Now, if we compare that to last month, that was at $594,000, so we are up 4%. But one of the other things you want to know about is sale to list price. Well, sale to list price, we're at 100.8%. So we listed at roughly 612. We're selling at 618. So that's like $5,000 when you kind of round it all up and everything. So not that much difference between where we list and where we actually sell. And that's kind of been the story for the last few months. And, you know, when people always say to me, what's the average selling price in Halifax? I'm like, well, kind of, it's always hovering around that 600 number, because sometimes we're a little bit higher, sometimes we're a little bit lower. So like, yeah, you know, 594 for last month, 616 for this month, you know, average roughly 602, 603,000. And we seem to be hovering there for quite a few months now. So in terms of stabilization of the market, feels like we're there. Like, it doesn't feel as though we're kind of pushing that selling price up and up and up like it was 2-3 years ago. We're definitely hovering and stabilizing around that 600, 610, 615, 590, you know, all of those kind of numbers. We're not moving that much. Also, given that last month the average sale to list price was 100.7, we're not actually moving that far away from the listing prices either. So we've got much more accurate at when we list a house versus when we sell a house. The prices are obviously a lot tighter together with each other now. And that's really the story, I'd say, of the last like 5 or 6 months, is that there's a lot more stability in the market. Now, when we look at the average price March last year, so March 2023, that was at 580. So we are 6% up on that particular number. And they were, or last month, they, us, the month was at 99.9% sale to list price. So again, like even in a whole year, we haven't moved that far away from list price to sale price as being more or less the same number. Now, I did also check how many houses of the, well, we'll give you the sale. So the number of sales in the month was 309. So of the 309, I actually checked how many were over asking price and how many were at asking or below. And we had 131 that were over asking price. And even if it was over asking price by $1, I still counted it as over asking price. And that equates to about 40% of that 309 houses that we sold. 40% were above asking price by $1 or more, which left us with roughly 60%, about 178, that were at asking price, 0, or below asking price. So you can see that, yes, you know, when you start playing the game of averages, obviously we are slightly over asking price, because, you know, it really depends on that 40% how many were over asking price to bring overall the average to over asking price. So you can see that there is roughly 2/5 of houses, 40%, which are actually going over asking price. Still means that there are 3/5 of houses that are at or below asking price. And that equates to the days on market. So right now we are sitting at 39 days on market. Compare it to last month, it was 35. So we're up 4 days on that. Last year, it was 28. So we are up 11 days on last year. And that just goes to show that, yes, with the balancing of our market and more of the stability, naturally the days on market are increasing, and new construction will have a handle in that number as well, because new construction, and there is quite a bit of new construction going on basically all over the place. You've got parks of Lake Charles, you've got parks of Bedford West, you've got Elmsdale Enfield Lands, Kiln Creek up there, we've got Kinloch Estates behind me in Fall River that's going on. So when the new construction is coming on, often they're getting back into that phase where it goes on and it's sitting for like 30, 40, 60, 90 days before it actually goes conditional, because the builders are releasing that product onto MLS earlier, because they know that now they have actually a bit of time when buyers are actually out looking. So that's definitely added to the days on market, because we've gone from 28 last year, we did 35 last month, and now we're at 39. So we've definitely seen an increase in those days on market, and that's also been the trend really for the start of this year, has been average days on market are going up. Conversely, the amount of inventory, we're at 2.1 months of inventory. That was 2.4 last month, and it was 2.1 last year. So we're putting more days on market, but we're not actually putting more inventory on the market, because that's hovering around that 2 to 2.4. So still a seller's market, because seller's market is dictated by less than 5 months availability of months of inventory. We're at 2.1, definitely less than 5. So you can see that although we're getting longer days on market, we're not actually putting a lot of inventory on the market, because when we look at the number of homes that are active for sale, we're at 648 homes available for sale right now. Compared to last month, that was 626. Compared to last year, that was 559. So we're up 4% on last month. We're up 16% on last year. So there is a little bit more inventory. And it seems to be creeping ever so slightly up, kind of month on month on month. And when you look at the number of houses that we sell, you can kind of see that we're not really eating into it. Now, brand new listings that came to the market were 378 this month. Last month it was 309. So we definitely added more properties, but I still think we're waiting for that kind of spring rush that we always get. It seems like that's going to be April, because we didn't 378 this year, 309 last month, 433 though were new listings in March last year. So you can kind of look at that and say, we're still like 60 homes down in terms of new inventory adding onto the market compared to last year, which is what we tend to look at a lot, because seasonality tends to be year on year on year. So when you look at those, that gives you an idea as well that we're still not putting a lot of houses on the market, and we're still selling quite a decent amount of houses. So we're not adding to the inventory. It's just the days on market are starting to spread out a little bit. And that's one of the key things that you look at when you kind of start delving into all the stats. Going into the sales and new listing ratio, this month we're at 82% because sold 309, listed 378. That gives us an 82%. Last month, that was 85%. So we were still putting more listings on the market than we were actually selling. So hence keeping inventory, moderately high, not like it was when we were down to like 0.8 and 0.6 months of inventory going back last year. Now, last year, though, for the sale to new listing ratio, that was at 63%. So not a lot of sales in March last year. It was at 272, but we had more inventory. We put more houses up for sale. So that's when you start looking at the numbers and you start saying, sales to new listing ratio, once you get to like 100, that's basically new listings and what you sold are the same number. So once you go above 100%, that means you're putting a lot more new listings onto the market than you're actually selling. That will increase inventory. And we're not seeing that. It's kind of staying around that 80-something% all the way through. So now let's get into the top markets. Now, top market number one this time was East Hants, Colchester West. So not only, because I looked at this as well, not only does that include East Hants, Elmsdale, Lance, but it also includes other areas as well. Like there's Mount Uniacke is in there, there's Rawdon is in there. So some of the more kind of like out and rural areas. So their average price point was $483,000 and their average list price was $483,000. So you're practically list and sell exactly the same number. They've got 51 days on market. 39 homes sold, 81 active, which gives them 2.1 months of inventory. pretty much the average for the whole of HRM. So that's the market there. Now, why are people moving up there? It's all about the value. When you look at a $480,000 average price point, and that's average, you know, there are definitely some higher than that. It's certainly starting to show as kind of being one of the top markets that people are moving to because they want the value for the money. So that was number one. Number two, we are getting into Timberley Prospect, St. Margaret's Bay area. $592,000 average price point there, 589 lists. So they are roughly $3,000 over asking price, which is 0.5%. They are 69 days on market. And I know that in that area, things definitely do take a little bit longer. Also, that's another area of new construction down there as well. So kind of like houses do take longer in that area, but with new construction as well, that's also going to be a factor. 36 houses sold, 83 active for sale, which gives them a 2.3 months inventory right now. So that's the number two. Now we have a tie for the third place market. We have Bedford and we have Sackville. Both of those sold 27 houses, which ties them for third place in the market. Let's do Bedford first as an average price point of $695,000. $702,000 average list price. So that gives them a 99% sale to list price. So very interesting. And we've seen this from a couple of builders as well, where they've actually started reducing the prices down on their properties just to make sure that they can actually still, like, number one, get them actually sold, which is important for the builders. So it's interesting when you look at the average price point there at $695. That's definitely lower than we've seen in the previous months for Bedford. Now, number of sales, we said they've got 27. The days on market actually is an interesting factor because they're at 58, which is quite a long time. Stacks up a little bit with obviously Parks of Bedford West and the new construction. They have 64 houses for sale there, so that puts them at 2.4 months of inventory. Delve into Sackville. Sackville's always, like, the price point here is always going to be list to sale. Sale is always going to be higher. So for this property, for this market rather, we had a sale price of $482,000 with a list price of $462,000. So that puts them at $20,000 over asking price for the houses that sold, which gives them roughly, I think, 4%. Now, days on market there were only 10. Not a lot of houses for sale in Lower Sackville, and they sell fast. 27 properties for sold that we know, and of course only 9 properties for sale. That gives them a 0.3 months of inventory. Always going to be like one of those crazy points. And I think again we're looking at, now this one is a little bit closer to like Halifax, Bedford than if you looked at Elmsdale, Enfield, Lance area, but the markets seem to behave the same in the fact that it's all about the price point. It's all about the value for money. Just understand that in Lower Sackville, you are obviously a lot closer to amenities. So that sale to list price is always going to be higher, and you're probably going to have to go over asking price to get it. Because don't forget, the $20,000 over asking price in Sackville, that's just on the 27 homes that sold. If we go actually into the detail, into the weeds on that stuff, we'll find out exactly what's going on in terms of which houses went over asking price. But if on 27 houses, the average was 20, you can pretty much be sure that I'd say almost all of them were over asking price, or at least at asking price. So that covers off our top markets. Just checking the numbers here. We've covered it all. So if you have any questions on anything, all the contact details are down below. Just get in touch with us. Tell us your situation, and we will do everything we can to make sure that we take care of you and get you all the information you need to make that smart decision. Whether you're moving here, just buying here, whether you're selling here and buying again, selling and downsizing, like, we cover all of those aspects. So just give us a call, and don't forget to hit the bell. Make sure you subscribe to get notified of all the videos that we've got coming up.